You know who made a campaign stop on the Joe Rogan podcast Friday night. And with all the issues Americans are going to be voting on, you know where they started the interview? Take a look.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View. And I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. There's a lot of fake news coming up, so we're going to clear some of it up as it happens.
Okay, so we're going to go over The View calling out Joe Rogan and Trump over what they're calling misinformation about their relationship with Donald Trump. Okay, so recently Joe Rogan had Trump on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, he invited Kamala Harris on, she declined. So the largest podcaster in the world had President Trump on the podcast. They talked about a whole range of issues. He was there for like 3 hours. But one thing that came up was how Trump was being treated by the left before he ran for president. Now, most of you out there may have forgotten, but Trump was a Democrat with a capital D. He was a Democrat. And no one was calling Trump racist back in the day. For instance, Trump dated a black woman before he married Melania. There are pictures all over the place with Trump with the Reverend Al Sharpton or the Reverend Jesse Jackson, civil rights icons who called Trump friend. Matter of fact, Trump was so entrenched in the Democratic Party, he had former President Clinton and Hillary Clinton attend his wedding, and he even gave them campaign contributions. And none of this is a secret. Trump talks about it all the time, and I think that made him a better candidate.
Trump hasn't always been a Republican, so I guess it should not be a surprise to anybody. His donations have also drifted between parties.
Yeah, he initially, for a long time, he gave more to Democrats than to Republicans. Over the years, he had added up money to Hillary Clinton and Harry Reid and Charles Rangel and to John Kerry and the like, almost to $600,000 worth. Then in 2011, he shifted more money over to the Republican side. They caught up and then surpassed that number with donations over the years, people like Bob Dole and Phil Gramm and John McCain and Rudy Giuliani, so close to $1 million there. But nonetheless, that's a lot of money going out into the campaign on both sides. More the Republican side now, but plenty to go around.
Now, I never saw Trump as a traditional Republican. I thought Trump was more or less a moderate Democrat that moved to the Republican side. And obviously, when Obama got into the presidency, Trump had issues with Obama, and then that's kind of what shifted him from being his lovable Democrat to this hated Republican. Now, I do want to be fair to the women on The View. They are feminists who push a feminist agenda on the show, right? That's why the show's called The View. It's the view of women on the show. And I also think that overturning Roe v. Wade, even though Trump didn't do it himself, he appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. He said that's what he wanted to do. It happened. And now I think for Democrats, that was their holy grail. That was the cow, right? Roe v. Wade. Now that it's been overturned, Trump embodies all of that tension about, he's essentially taking us back to the 1950s, a time before Roe v. Wade. That's what the women on The View have said many times, and that's what they think. And I think when that happened, the shift was complete. So now, with all that said, I'm going to play for you the beginning of the Trump-Rogan interview so you can hear what he said about the women of The View. Then we'll go to Whoopi's breakdown of that part of the interview.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it because it could get copyright strike, and we don't want to get the episode. We don't want anybody to have any sort of a way to get it down.
Sure.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add president of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump. We're so happy to have Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
Well, we love it.
Okay, so I'm going to take you at your word that you have not decided yet when you're going to run, but you're thinking about it, and you've expressed some of your views, which are controversial and in many ways, but
not to her.
Well, not to her. Okay, you're a Republican, but let's say that you do decide in the spring, right? And your ideas resonate so much.
But it was the episode of you when you were on The View, and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
And you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you. They were all talking about how you might be conservative in your financial positions, but you're very liberal socially. They were talking about you as such a favorable light. The audience was cheering. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
So that seemed like an accurate description. The crowd did give us standing ovation. He also did kiss Whoopi and Joy, as you can see here.
We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
So now that you've gotten all the background, let's see what the View's beef with this representation of this moment is.
So you know who made a campaign stop on the Joe Rogan podcast Friday night. And with all the issues Americans are going to be voting on, you know where they started the interview? Take a look.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View, and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. There's a lot of fake news coming up, so we're going to clear some of it up as it happens. He was actually, in that clip, is 2011, 4 years before he announced he was running. Okay? That's the first thing they got wrong.
Now, that's a fair criticism. Joe Rogan said it was 2016, right before he ran for president. It happened to be 4 years before he ran for president. But I think you're nitpicking here, because the ultimate point I think Joe was trying to make was that Trump was a heavy Democrat with a D in front of him. And when he said he's a Republican, he became a racist. So I think that's the overall. But again, she's nitpicking the facts. The fact is, Joe Rogan was wrong by saying this happened when he was running for president.
Next.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
Well, we love it.
So Barbara was her usual polite self, as she was with every guest. But did I look warm and fuzzy? Was that a warm and fuzzy welcome from
Now, I know the people who love this show is going to say, yeah, she got him, but really, this is nitpicking to the finest extent, right? The crowd was standing. It was a standing ovation. If Trump goes to The View now, there will be no standing ovation. But there's a standing ovation then. All the hosts did kiss and give him a little hug. Now, Whoopi may not have hugged him, but she damn sure did kiss him. And now she's saying, well, look at my face. I wasn't that happy. Well, everyone else in the room. So even if Whoopi herself wasn't as thrilled with Donald Trump at that time in 2011, you cannot make the argument that the View's audience and everyone else on that stage wasn't happy that Donald Trump was there. Now, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Ethos. What feat of strength or bravery could you be capable of if it meant protecting your loved ones? Could you lift a car, run into a burning building, fight off a wild animal? Well, thankfully, you don't have to fight off a tiger to make your family safe. Protect your loved ones in minutes with Ethos. It's an affordable life insurance that's quick and easy and all online with no medical exams. Think about all the benefits of having life insurance. How would it feel to know that your loved ones have financial support if something happened to you? They could use it to keep up with the mortgage payments, pay bills, or more. If you've ever applied for life insurance before, you know it's confusing, annoying, and tedious to say the least. Now with Ethos, you just have to answer a few health questions for a quote and apply for coverage at ethoslife.com/Nate. That's ethoslife.com/Nate. Ethos offers customizable coverage to fit your needs and budgets. Get everything done online without complicated forms, doctor's appointments, or waiting for results. It's term life insurance on your terms. Personalize your coverage to your family's needs and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/Nate. That's ethoslife.com/Nate.
But because I respect Barbara, you know, she said be polite to guests no matter what.
Yes.
And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now. But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you in such a favorable light.
Honey, Joe, I think you missed this part. Take a look.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God!
that's a terrible
that
thing
is
to
just
say.
the
Whoopi, I'm
worst
telling
that he
you.
was 3 pounds and
Whoopi, I love you. I'm
Donald,
telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
The question is, there's something on There's something on his birth certificate he doesn't want to show.
It's not because he's black.
Let him show. Has nothing to do with that. By the way,
Because I've never heard any white president asked to be shown the birth certificate. When you become a president of the United States of America, you know that he's
Let him
American.
show
I'm
his
sorry,
birth
that's
certificate.
BS.
Now, I think this is fascinating because I think Whoopi's right here in sense of when it came to the birther issue, Whoopi was like, no, he's president. And she even asked him, is it because he's black? Is that why you're saying this? And Trump says, no, it's not because he's black. And I'll give Trump the argument here for a couple of reasons. Number one, John McCain is not black. And there was this whole movement about John McCain not being eligible to be president because he was born in the Panama Canal zone to American parents. So the people were saying that he's not eligible to be president. And the same thing with Ted Cruz, who's also not black. So I don't think this was a black thing, but she did essentially try to claim that he was a racist and she did have some pushback. So the interview wasn't all roses and cherries. There was some pushback from Whoopi. So I'll give her that point, but that pushback was few and far between. It was just for that issue because if you watch that entire interview, there are other things that he's saying that they all agree with. So
Look, this show has allowed all kinds of people to come on. People we agree with, people we don't agree with. I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation. So I have not really had much to say until he started running for president. Then I could say everything I needed to say. My face said everything
That was a good side eye.
Didn't you say you disliked him from even before that when you first had an encounter with him?
Well, he's been in New York forever. He's a New York person and been a New York character. But that being a character on television,
Right.
is a lot different than being the president of the United States.
now this is the part of the video I have to disagree with Whoopi about. Whoopi's trying to make it seem like she never liked Donald and they never had a relationship. But in that same interview that she's trying to use to debunk Joe Rogan, there are parts in there that debunks her argument that she never liked Trump. I want you to see this one part right here where Trump says Whoopi got him into movies and thanks her and says that they love each other and they're friends and they actually even embrace. You think I'm joking? Check it out.
Right. Excuse me, I'm a Republican.
That's
George Bush, he gave us Obama. I'm not a big fan of George Bush. I'm not a fan of Obamacare.
Let's not talk about who gave who,
I know,
baby,
Whoopi,
because
I don't think I'm going to get Whoopi's vote.
If you did, let me just ask, if you did beat,
and she likes me. She even put me in a movie.
I was just going to say.
She put me in a movies, right? A long time ago. So how much did I judge? Nothing.
Like they say in the
It was a freebie.
if you did beat Obama, though, it's just, would you say?
All right, so this is the part of the video where you give me your opinion. I'm going to tell you what I think. I think Whoopi Goldberg's takedown was nonsense. Of course, when you do interviews, there are going to be tense points. There are going to be points of agreement, as you saw with these clips. There was one point where they're talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate. Whoopi was angry and she had some pushback. There's the next part where they're talking about how they did movies together. So in an interview, in a good interview, you're going to have points of tension, points of fun, because you're trying to get the whole story out. All right, so my opinion on this is that The View, before Trump became president or ran for president, they were very friendly to him. Trump can't go on The View right now and get the same type of applause. He's not going to get a standing ovation going on The View. He's not going to get Whoopi even standing up to even touch him or give him any type of hug, no less a kiss. What about Joy and the rest of those women? Of course not. So the environment of The View has been very hostile to Trump after he ran. And that's what Joe Rogan's saying. Before he ran for president, they were very friendly. After he ran for president, they were very hostile. And it wasn't because the person changed, it was because their politics changed. They didn't want to have a Republican be successful because they're all Democrats. Now, is that correct or not? Who really knows? But I think Whoopi's takedown wasn't as fair and honest as it could be because she was cherry picked out of that interview. Negative points where she argued with Trump, but she didn't pick out the points where she shook his hand and they talked about how they did movies together and how they love each other. Obviously, she's trying to run a narrative too. So, as always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. If you agree with me, say, hey, Nate, I think you're right. I think Joe Rogan and Trump characterized it right, even though they had some of the facts wrong. Or you can say, hey, Nate, Whoopi definitely has it right and took them down. I want to hear what you have to say in the comments. So, with all that being said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.